Good afternoon, everybody. Mr. Lambert's evidence will continue this afternoon. It will be transmitted over the live link, but only after 15 minutes have elapsed since the evidence being given. Those with mobile devices may use them to report what they hear in the hearing room, but only after 15 minutes have elapsed since the event that they're describing. They may not be used for recording or photography. Mr. Barr.
Thank you, sir. We're moving now, Mr. Lambert, to HN81's deployment. We know that he was initially deployed into the SWP in Hammersmith and in Fulham, and then he is redeployed. Could we look, please, at 247148? This is a document which dates from the 24th of June 1997. It's a note for file, not produced by you, about a meeting which we can see at paragraph 1. It appears you are not present at. What I'd like to do is invite you to read paragraph 1, and my question to you will be, notwithstanding that you weren't at this particular meeting, does it fairly represent the thinking about the redeployment or redirection of HN81?
Yes, I think so.
So avoid RTS because DC Boiling is covering that, but a roving public order brief in Brixton to provide an assessment of what is going on there. Why did the SDS want a roving officer to provide an assessment of what was going on in Brixton?
I would think that it was regarded as an initial step in RN81's deployment. It would not have been, I think, obviously by now it would be clear that that was not in and of itself a satisfactory or reasonable SDS deployment. So I would see this as an initial first step.
To find single-issue enviro groups and other anti-establishment campaign groups that he might then refine his focus upon.
Yes.
And he is being advised to make efforts to become involved as an LDMG supporter or activist with anti-police sentiments. Is LDMG the Legal Defence and Monitoring Group?
I believe so, I think, yeah.
What was your understanding of what the Legal Defence and Monitoring Group did?
I can't recall too much now, but in the name, the name describes it, I think, pretty well.
Kept an eye on police conduct in public order events.
Yes.
And provided non-expert legal assistance and advice to people who might be arrested, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Why would that be a particular persona that HN81 ought to adopt? Anti-police LDMG supporter.
I think only as a basis for establishing the kind of credible persona that he would need to have.
And because the SDS was interested in anti-police campaigns?
Only to the extent that extremist groups would seek to be involved.
So the suggestion is that he involves himself identifies with a group which is not an extremist group, identifies him with sentiments which are not particularly political.
Well,
why that as opposed to taking an interest, the old-fashioned taking an interest in left-wing politics, which had been the route in for generations of SDS officers?
Well, I suppose this is the point. I have to say, I wasn't in this meeting. I'm not trying to. I don't know.
Is this because it's Brixton and there's racial tension?
Well, we'd have to ask the people here at the meeting. But
you are part of SDS management,
of course I am.
And you must know why an officer under your supervision is being advised to portray himself as an LDMG supporter and anti-police sentiment. Is it because in Brixton you are interested in anti-police campaigns?
In the context that I've described, yes.
Because of the high levels of racial tension?
Well, that is... that is the basis for the interest of the target group that HN81 joins. Whether this note goes on to talk about that, I'll find out. But
the problem with that answer, Mr. Lambert, if I may suggest it to you, is that he doesn't have a target group at this stage. This is the precursor to identifying a target group, isn't it?
Yes.
And so my questions are focused on why is it, when he's trying to locate a target group, that he should portray himself as anti-police?
Well, it would obviously... I think, it would help for sure to be anti-police, but quite why this specific suggestion about the LDMG, it came up. I don't remember that at all, but I obviously would have done at the time.
There is more specific to come, so we can look at that now. If we take that document down, please, and have 728625. Page 22, please. And if we could have that expanded. This is a document created, it would appear, by HN58, your DCI. And it's entitled Targeting Strategy. The goal now, just over a month after, this is July 28th, a month after the last document, is to penetrate the LDMG. Give you a moment to look at that.
Yes, thank you.
So there appears to be a suggestion that from Brixton, 81 can get involved with LGMG, and that is going to provide intelligence about a range of events across the United Kingdom.
Yes.
Does that ring a bell?
I honestly don't recall LDMG, but I'm reading it and accept that was obviously the case.
Why Brixton if the object is to collect intelligence around the United Kingdom?
I think in point 4, explore and report on local campaigns issues in the Brixton area. I think it would also have been a consideration in respect of other contemporary field officers where they were based, the geography. Brixton was probably a good area to complement other officers reporting.
Would it be fair to say that the focus was Brixton and intelligence about the wider United Kingdom would be regarded as a bonus?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know for sure.
How, we can take that document down now. Can I take it that, again, you would have been in close touch with 81, you would have been talking to him a great deal, and you would have had a good understanding of what he was doing?
Absolutely, but I did note from that we are at a point now where the SDS for the first time actually has cover officers, the three sergeants. At least I think I saw that.
Yeah, May 97. You've gone up to 3 sergeants.
Yeah, and so yes, there was a reduction in, I suppose, in my day-to-day interaction with them.
But you would still have had a good idea.
Oh, of course, yes.
We see various references to HN81 having dealings with movement against the monarchy, movement for justice, and London class war. You would have been aware that he was floating around all 3 of those organisations at this stage.
Yes.
What happens in the July of 1997, the same month as the document we've just been looking at, is the Stephen Lawrence inquiry is announced. I asked you some questions on Monday about how important the campaign was in general terms when you were joining the SDS. I want you now to cast your mind to the point in time where the inquiry itself is announced. How significant an event was it that the campaign had generated sufficient momentum to have led to a statutory public inquiry?
Well, the SDS focus would have been on our target groups.
That's not answering my question. How important an event was it for the Metropolitan Police Service that this campaign had got to public inquiry level?
Right, not the SDS, but for the...
We'll come to that in a moment.
For the MPS, well, yes, I would have been aware of how important it was, for sure.
For the MPS and for the Commissioner?
Yes.
In terms of 81's deployment, you've said that you don't really recall the LDMG. There isn't very much reporting on the LDMG. Might the announcement of the Lawrence inquiry be a reason why 81 does not, in fact, get into the LDMG in any depth, but instead focuses on the movement for justice?
I can't recall. The movement for justice, probably other field officers, other field officers would probably have helped us as managers on developing RN 81's deployment, and movement for justice would the targeting, it may well have included reference to the inquiry, but only if our understanding was that that the movement for justice was going to be active in consequence of it.
And does the Stephen Lawrence inquiry explain not only why we don't see HN81 pursuing the LDMG with any vigour, but also why we see him not pursuing London class war and movement against the monarchy in any detail?
No, I don't. I don't think it follows. I mean, I don't think class war would have been compatible with movement for justice.
Well, that's my point. A choice is being made, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the choice is focus on MFJ.
Yes, but to what extent the Stephen Lawrence campaign and the inquiry was part of that, I think it's hard. It wouldn't have been the sole factor by any means.
You have some corporate knowledge of MFJ through Peter Francis's infiltration of its predecessor, the Kingsway Anti-Fascist Group, haven't you?
Yes, yes.
Are you talking to HN81 about the announcement of the inquiry and its significance? Did you talk to HN81 about the announcement of the inquiry and its significance?
Well, I expect we did. I can't say where and when, but I'm sure that would have been part of our regular discussions.
And would at least some of those conversations have involved HN58?
Yes, of course, yeah.
I'm going to go through a series of reports now. Can we start with MPS 301098, please? This is a report from May 1998, the 18th of May.
I think it's right that this is the first report by HN81 which refers to the Stephen Lawrence campaign. Not.
Well, if there was an earlier one, I've missed it, sir.
Yes, we both missed it. Yes.
It's about a forthcoming event on the 23rd of May, 1998, organised by AFA. Have we got the right report?
No, I don't think, although it's
Not sure.
touchy subject.
No, it's not the right report.
That's not the right one. I'm looking for the 18th of May. We'll come back to that when we've got the reference. Can we have MPS 301113, please? This is June. It's the information obtained on the 1st of June 1998, and this is on the movement for justice and the Stephen Lawrence inquiry. I'll give you a moment just to look at the text of that report.
Yes, thank you.
Can I take it for this and other reports, it is more likely than not that it will have crossed your desk and you will have seen it?
Yes.
And or you will have discussed the events with HN81 directly.
Yes.
We see from this report that MFJ wants to become more involved in the Stephen Lawrence campaign. It wants a demonstration with media coverage, and it wants to work with the family, but if that doesn't happen, it will follow its own course anyway. A couple of propositions for you. None of the activity described here is unlawful, is it?
No.
And insofar as there is a reference relevant to public order, it's in the negative, in the sense it says MFJ do not intend causing trouble on the 2nd of June, but will act peacefully in order to build a mass movement.
Yes.
If we take that down now and have MPS 30*17. This is the 3rd of June 1998, and we see it again, it is from 81, entitled The Stephen Lawrence Campaign, and I'll give you a moment to read the content.
Yes, thank you.
I would just like to explore at this stage your understanding of how campaigning was organised on behalf of Stephen Lawrence. First of all, did you appreciate that there was a difference between the Stephen Lawrence family campaign and the Lawrence family support group?
I'm sure that I did at the time, but I can't recall now.
Did you understand there to be an inner circle of the family and their immediate advisors, people like Imran Khan and Suresh Grover?
It's very difficult to say exactly, what understanding I had and colleagues in the management team had at that time.
What did you understand by the reporting that MFJ felt they could influence the emphasis of the campaign?
That the MFJ...
I'm looking at the end of this report. So, attended by members of MFJ who now feel they can influence the emphasis of the campaign. What did you understand by that?
Well, that they had a toehold and an opportunity to be involved and influence, I suppose, influence according to their objectives, which we would have had a fair amount of knowledge of between us, not only previous reporting of our own, but probably from other sources too.
If I've understood your evidence to date correctly, you are extremely interested as a unit in how much influence MFJ have on the Lawrence family.
Yes.
And presumably that would have been something you were questioning HN81 about quite closely.
Yes.
What was your understanding as to where MFJ was in relation to the family itself?
well, outside of the family, outside of the inner circle that you've described, a group, essentially an extremist group looking to looking in its way to infiltrate and influence the campaign.
If we can take that down now, we've solved the mystery of the wrong reference. Could we have MPS 301089 up, please?
That accords with my reference as well.
So 18th of May 1998, one of HN81's report entitled Movement for Justice. It's quite a long report, but I'm interested in the fifth paragraph down.
Yes, thank you.
So reporting on MFJ's intentions vis-à-vis the Stephen Lawrence family and their campaigning ambitions, that is to say MFJ's campaigning ambitions. This is exactly the sort of intelligence that you wanted HN81 to gather, wasn't it?
Yes.
On the face of it, though, all entirely legitimate activity.
Yes.
And is this evidence of the emerging importance of the Lawrence inquiry to the SDS at this point in time?
Well, it's certainly evidence of our understanding that the MFJ was a proper, legitimate target for us and for our relatively new field officer. The MFJ, what they were interested in would determine our interest. If the MFJ were, less interested or not interested in the Stephen Lawrence campaign, then our target would have, would not have been able to report on it.
They are interested in the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, so are you.
Yes.
By this stage, the inquiry's hearings have started, and we see that there is already discussion, of which we'll see a lot more, of when the 5 suspects will be attending to give evidence. That was a day that you were going to be particularly interested in, wasn't it?
Yes.
If we could take that down now and go to MPS 301120. This is the 4th of June 1998. If we look at the main paragraph of text first of all, please. And we see this as a rally, and there is a speaker from the Stephen Lawrence campaign. MFJ are present. Is it fair to say that the views they're recorded as expressing there are all entirely legitimate?
What was the actual question, sorry?
The views that MFJ are recorded as expressing there are all entirely legitimate.
Yes, oh yes.
If we could go to the first paragraph of the source comments. MFJ hopes to press the campaign group towards a much wider inquiry into police racism, resulted in a new leaflet being produced, which will be handed out at the RTS event in Brixton on Saturday, 6th of June.
Yes.
Again, all perfectly lawful.
Yes.
Next paragraph. Intent on working with the Lawrence family campaign rather than attempting to take it over. For anyone who knew anything about what was going on, it would be fanciful to suggest that MFJ could take over the Stephen Lawrence family campaign, wouldn't it?
Of course, yes.
The Lawrences were their own people, and they had the support of Mr. Grover and Mr. Khan.
And I think by the date of this report, 4/6/98, it would have been absolutely clear.
No question of MFJ getting right up to the family and influencing them directly.
No.
Nevertheless, the reporting continues.
Yes.
Why, when that was clear, did the reporting continue?
Well, because MFJ was still in, a pretty good position from their perspective, I think.
Because the Stephen Lawrence inquiry was a very big deal for the Metropolitan Police Service.
Well, just with the MFJ's perspective, I think we might read from other source reporting that how, they felt that this issue, like other justice campaigns which we've looked at, it's good for their recruiting drive and their profile. They had, as long as they could be, take part and offer support, it would, be very worthwhile.
Can we take that down and have MPS 301129, please? This report is titled not the Movement for Justice, but the Lawrence Family Support Group. Information obtained on the 11th of June from HN81. If we look at the first two paragraphs, please.
Yes, thank you.
So this is a report on the family support group, a meeting which it had held, at which one of the inner circle, Mr. Grover, had been explaining to the wider group arrangements for the days in which it was then thought the suspects would give evidence.
Yes.
And that he was communicating plainly that there'd been cooperation with the inquiry and a demonstration was to be allowed.
Yes.
All entirely lawful.
Yes.
And showing a high level of cooperation with the inquiry.
Yes.
Can we go to paragraph 3? So the focus there is on the mood of those who were attending this meeting, and there is particular reference to a number of women. No evidence there about whether they're connected to MFJ or not.
No.
They're simply people who've attended a meeting of the Lawrence Family Support Group. You're interested here, aren't you, in how the Lawrence Family Support Group's members and supporters are going to behave, aren't you?
Well, our officer is clearly there. I can only imagine that he was there because his target group, members of his target group were there. And that...
So that doesn't answer the question. You are interested, aren't you, in how members of the Lawrence Family Support Group are behaving?
We provide this report, and if we, when we get feedback from it, then we discover whether it's of interest or not. But generally, as we already know from other areas, the field officer will report on meetings.
Mr. Lambert, would the SDS be interested in intelligence to the effect that the people at the meeting were hostile and rowdy and were making it known that they would not allow themselves to be searched or accept any police presence when the suspects gave evidence to the Lawrence inquiry?
Well, yeah, forgive me. I expect we would have taken the view, when this report was in draft form, taken the view that it may well be of interest.
Can we go to the next paragraph, please? Give you a moment to look at it.
Yes, thank you.
And if we could look at the rest of the page and running over leaf. What we're seeing there is the officer reporting in some detail information about what it is thought might happen within the inquiry hearing room itself on the day that the 5 accused give evidence, isn't it?
Yes.
And offering an opinion about the public order risks arising from that. The references to MFJ and ANL are rather cursory, aren't they?
Yes.
And they're certainly not the focus of the report.
No.
The focus of the report is on the Lawrence Family Support Group and the potential for disorder when the 5 suspects give evidence.
Yes.
Did you welcome this intelligence?
I'm sure we received it. No, I think we just received it along with many other reports in a professional way.
Well, I'm asking that question because it is a report on the Lawrence Family Support Group rather than MFJ. Was there any problem with that from your perspective?
Not that I can recall.
Did you set any boundaries for HN 81 in his reporting of what was going on relating to the Lawrence inquiry?
Only insofar as he should stick with his target group, and that clearly, there's obviously evidence of that here.
By reporting on the Lawrence Family Support Group, having been attending its meeting, HN81 is, in one sense of the word, a spy in the Lawrence camp, isn't he?
No, I don't think that's fair.
This is the camp of supporters, isn't it?
I say again, it's the...
This is the camp of
Yes.
supporters of the Lawrence family, isn't it?
But he, you know, if you picture it, he was visibly there as a member of MFJ. Everyone
Still
present-
the Lawrence camp, isn't it? Whatever group he's attending with, he is attending meetings supporting the Stephen Lawrence campaign, isn't he?
If that's what his group are doing,
And he's
and
reporting...
he did not have. I'm fairly sure that he would not have had instructions. Do not go to this meeting of the Lawrence Family Support Group. You know, do not go with your target group. I mean, he would remember. Well, no, perhaps he wouldn't. And I certainly don't remember. But I don't think it was at all. I can't think of circumstances where. I'm sorry. Let me come back specifically. Others may have a clearer recollection, but I do not remember him being instructed to steer clear of this, this support group, as long as he stuck to his tasking. I'm sure we would have.
So he has
supported
become
him.
a spy in the Lawrence camp and has not been told that he can't do that.
Well, I certainly didn't see it in those terms at the time.
But that is what's happened, isn't it?
Looking at it now, I still don't. I still struggle to see it in those terms.
Did you consider at the time the propriety of permitting such reporting?
I'm sure that we did, and we were, this report was read by, people, officers in Special Branch who could quite easily have told us that we shouldn't be directing our officer there. We never were told.
I quite accept that nobody told you not to, if that's what it amounts to. Did you consider the wisdom of having a spy in the Lawrence camp?
Yes, I think we would. At no point would we have wanted. At no point would we have wanted to do anything that might be perceived in that way.
Why did you do it?
Well, you're perceiving it in that way. I honestly, I can be sure that we didn't at the time.
Well, my question was, consider the wisdom of it. Are you saying you didn't consider the wisdom of it at the time, or you did and thought it was wise?
Yes. We thought it was justified.
As we've seen, H&81 is giving advice on how to prevent disorder within the hearing room. What was done with that advice?
That would have been up to the people that we disseminated our reporting to. It was out of our hands, wasn't it?
Did the SDS have any direct contact with the Stephen Lawrence inquiry?
No.
Did Special Branch, to your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge.
Did anyone within the Metropolitan Police Service relay this intelligence or any part of it to the Stephen Lawrence inquiry?
Well, that I don't know.
Do you know whether it was used by the Metropolitan Police Service in any way other than having been filed?
I can't imagine that C Squad would not have disseminated it, whether, in what way. I mean, obviously, public order policing, so a sanitised risk assessment by a special branch sanitised risk assessment going to public order policing in the usual way.
Can we have MPS 301134, please? 12th of June 1998, an HN81 report on an SWP organised public meeting entitled the Lawrence Family Support Group. I'll give you, or perhaps we should just have paragraph 1 up first. Again, as we've seen with some of the other reports in relation to racial justice campaigns, there is reporting on the demographic makeup of those attending, here predominantly young and black, with about twice as many females as males. Why is it that those demographics are being recorded?
As previously, because this was pretty standard special branch practice over many years.
Where there was a racial issue?
No, not just that. If you think race identities were always used in the Metropolitan Police, IC1, IC2, IC3, it was...
What's the relevance for public order purposes?
Well, it was just the reporting of its day in Special Branch C Squad, and then SDS contributing to that.
And we see, as in other reports, various speakers from other Black Justice campaigns were speaking, and a Member of Parliament. All
Yes.
of that is recorded.
Yes.
Can we go to paragraph 2? We see in paragraph 2 Mr. Grover's opinions about the inquiry his utterances and opinions are recorded there, aren't they?
Yes.
What was the relevance of recording the utterances and opinions of Mr. Grover?
It's a meeting report, isn't it? It's just a report that gives detail of what was being said by whom, no more, no less.
And if we go to paragraph 4, Wayman Bennett's denunciation of the inquiry and the police. Views he was entitled to hold.
It was...
Views he was entitled to hold.
Of course, yes.
None of these speakers advocating violence or disorder.
No. Well, not that we've seen, no.
Overleaf, in the source comment, does record that the mood was very angry, and that if similar numbers attended on the following Monday, there would be potential for severe public disorder. Again, as far as you're aware, was that shared in any way with the inquiry?
Not... Well, I wouldn't have been... This is the frustrating thing. At the time, I I would not have known. I would have known, and as I can recall now, the dissemination up to the point of public order policing, beyond that, I wouldn't have expected to know, but...
We've heard some evidence that there was a Unit A7, which may have had a successor by this time, which was a unit interested in police accountability and anti-police campaigning. Do you know whether HN81's reporting was, or any of it, was sent to A7?
A7. I wouldn't, not to my knowledge, but I don't know.
The attendance of the 5 suspects at the inquiry was obviously going to be a very emotive day, wasn't it?
Yes.
But this was a public meeting?
Yes.
And it didn't need an undercover police officer, did it, to tell you that there might be disorder on the day that the 5 suspects presented themselves at the Lawrence inquiry?
No, but it did need well, no, I'll leave it there.
If we go to MPS 301147, another of 81's reports, 25th of June 1998, NMP meeting about the Stephen Lawrence inquiry. So another meeting about the inquiry organised by an anti-racist group. And again, we'll see in the first paragraph speakers, including the bereaved relatives from Black and Asian justice campaigns. That's right, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
You can have a moment to look at paragraphs 2 and 3, which record the atmosphere as more emotional than fiery. But the question is, again, all of the content recorded here is of lawful activity, isn't it?
Yes.
And if we go to page 2, we look at paragraphs 1 and 2, see some details about the speakers, including a speaker from MFJ. I'll give you a moment to look at it, but my question of you will be that the Trotskyist speaker from the floor got nowhere.
Yes, thank you.
And that was a not untypical reaction of justice campaigns, was it? They were grateful for the support, but they weren't interested in extremist politics.
That's correct.
And if we look at paragraphs 3 and 4, and the report moves on to the case of Ricky Reel and the MFJ's thinking about the Ricky Reel campaign. In particular, it's talking about their efforts to leaflet.
Yes.
The questions, once you've had a moment to look at it, is there's nothing very surprising about what's recorded here, nor did you need a UCO to tell you, because they were making their views very publicly known, weren't they?
Yes, but the officers' deployment, as you know, I think it's clear from this that he's monitoring the MFJ, and his only interest is because they're there.
Hoovering up because he's there.
Yes.
Could we take that down now and have MPS 301149? This is a report dated the 26th of June 1998, again HN81, This entitled Stephen Lawrence Inquiry, Stewards Meeting. I'll give you a moment to look at this.
Yes, thank you.
So by this stage, you've got an undercover police officer attending the stewarding group meeting ahead of the appearance of the 5 suspects at the Stephen Lawrence inquiry.
Yeah.
And it is clear from what is being said that neither Mr. Grover nor the Lawrences are seeking any disorder at all.
That's correct.
But the officer is observing that seat allocation within the inquiry might become contentious.
Yes.
Again, are you able to help us with whether that intelligence made its way either to uniform police or to the inquiry?
No, I can't help directly.
What was the point of recording this sort of detail if it wasn't going to be used to assist the inquiry?
I think it's the final sentence. In terms of their tactics, re the accused, MFJ are quite happy to let the 5 enter the hearing and be questioned, but see their exit as the perfect chance to mete out some summary justice. And, there you have it, really, after...
Well, Mr. Lambert, I can quite see the policing value in that, the sentence you've just read out, but my question is, do you know what was done with that?
Well, I can make a safe assumption that would have been disseminated in the right way, source protection, to the public order branch, via C Squad in the usual way. It's public order intelligence. Very useful.
Did you ask HN81 what sort of justice MFJ were thinking of meting out?
I'm sure we would have discussed that with him at the time. I can't recall now.
If you go over the page and look at the source comment. How seriously did you take this intelligence about a threat to public order?
Well, we understood it to be reliable. We would have checked, obviously, we would have discussed it with HN81, we would have been confident about its authenticity and its potential value.
This is 3 days before the day in question. Can you recall whether anything was done to expedite the dissemination of this intelligence?
I can be confident that it received the expedition that it needed.
Did you get any response to the provision of this intelligence?
I expect that we did. I'd be,
Can you recall what it was?
Either at the very least, a verbal piece of feedback, or increasingly at this period in time, we had feedback forms. But it would have been clear to us how useful it would have been.
Do you know if it was acted upon at all?
Well, we would have had a pretty clear idea at the time. I can't say now.
I'm asking that question because there doesn't appear to have been any change in the arrangements for the 5 suspects to enter and leave Hannibal House by the front exit.
Well, you see, yeah, it's it may well have been acted upon. I don't know.
Could we take that down now? And could we go to MPS 301154? We're going to the 30th of June now, the day after the suspects appeared at the Stephen Lawrence inquiry. Presumably you would have been aware of the disturbance that in fact took place.
Yes.
And you would have spoken to HN81.
Would have
spoken to
Yes,
HN81.
yes.
And you would have known that he'd been one of the MFJ activists taking part in that disturbance.
Yes.
And did you know generally that he had been closely involved following the inquiry?
Closely involved in following
the inquiry, to the extent that he'd been into the hearing room?
I'm sure we would have been, if that was the case, we would have been aware at the time.
This was a significant event, wasn't it?
Yes.
If we could have paragraphs 3 and 4, please. Dr. Lawrence acted very creditably on that day, didn't he?
Yes, of course.
With remarkable dignity in very difficult and emotive circumstances.
That's correct.
There's no question of MFJ controlling him, is there?
Certainly not.
Quite the reverse.
Quite the reverse.
Were you receiving intelligence from HN81 during the course of the day?
I'm sorry, that I can't recall. If you were, to the extent that you can potentially check with my colleagues, if I, and in particular, his sort of handler at the time or cover officer, if there may well have been updates, but generally, when field officers were involved to this group, to this extent, they just had to stick with their group and wouldn't be able to report to us until much later.
Did you consider whether or not it was wise to permit HN81 to attend this demonstration?
I can't recall it, but there would have been time to have that discussion. He certainly went there with our support.
And in a nutshell, why did you allow that?
Because of the value of his reporting.
Dr. Lawrence takes particular exception to an undercover police officer having participated in the rowdy demonstration that he had to calm down. That's an entirely understandable sentiment, isn't it?
It is, and what I would only hope that if he was able to receive an account of what the officer's objectives were and how at no point in time was the officer working against the family, that might help him to come to terms with it.
If we can have page 2, please. Paragraphs 5 and 6, the 5th and 6th paragraphs.
Yes, thank you.
So it appears that some summary justice, as predicted, was indeed meted out,
Yes.
but relatively minor in terms of severity.
Yes.
And SDS intelligence doesn't appear to have prevented or reduced it.
Well, I wonder if it's hard to say, isn't it, whether it could easily have been a lot worse. Maybe, we'd have to think about the level of police deployment. The level of policing may well have been increased in view of our contribution to the risk assessment.
And all this disorder much against the wishes of Dr. Lawrence.
And if, as seems likely, RN 81's intelligence contributed to increased policing and helped to reduce the
Mr.
conflict.
Lambert, how can you assert that when HN 81's advice was what MFJ was seeking was a reaction and what they would most like to see was riot police there?
Well, exactly, but the local policing doesn't have to be huge numbers of riot officers.
And when it was obvious to anybody that this could be a flashpoint, you didn't need the SDS to tell uniformed police that, did you? Had it been known that HN81 was an undercover police officer in the midst of the protesters, that would only have exacerbated the problems on the day, wouldn't it?
It would.
Can we look at the penultimate paragraph on page 2, please? It would appear that HN81's reporting is not to the effect that the SDS has saved the day, it's to the effect that Dr. Lawrence saved the day, isn't it?
Yes, very much so.
That last phrase, it is clear that the family themselves do not want any confrontation with the police other than on political grounds. Now, I have taken you to a number of reports where it is abundantly clear that the Lawrences did not want any trouble. would it be fair to say it had always been obvious that that was the family's position?
It would.
And was the real concern of the SDS that because this was a racial issue, it was potentially particularly explosive?
I think that would have been, for the MPS, our focus was on what our operatives target group were doing. It was a small contribution, but it may well, we don't know, I don't know today, it may well have played a part. It's not in any way a major part in the way that, of course, Neville Lawrence's was. I don't, there's a big difference, I think, between our role and the role of the MPS.
You're interested because this is a potentially incendiary public order issue, isn't it?
We're interested because our officers' target group is interested. We know it's...
Are you really saying you're not interested in it because it's a potentially explosive public order issue?
But only if we did not have an officer deployed in the MFJ, we wouldn't be there.
And it's important from a police reputational perspective, isn't it? We'll be coming to a lot more on that theme
I'm
in
sure
due course.
we would have been aware of that, but that wasn't our concern.
And was the racial dimension a particular reason for paying attention to the stance of the Lawrence family?
Do forgive me, can you just repeat?
Was the racial dimension
Yes.
a particular reason for paying attention to the stance of the Lawrence family?
Only to the extent that it was a factor for the movement for justice.
Why was their reporting on the stance of the grieving family of a murdered son?
Because our officers' target group were interested in it. They were there, he was there, and he's reporting on it.
It's completely inappropriate, isn't it?
Well, we would have had to be, the SDS would have had to be directed accordingly. That's, way above our pay grade. We understood, we had every reason to believe that RN81's targeting strategy, which was perfectly clear and the reporting's perfectly clear, that it was not only approved but valued.
We're going to come on to a lot more reporting about the Lawrence family. Here it's being said, it's clear that the family themselves do not want any confrontation with the police other than on political grounds. Why did reporting on the Lawrence family continue when it was clear that their only beef with the Metropolitan Police Service was on, as it is described here, political grounds?
I can't quite see the connection. Why did it continue?
Why is there further reporting on the Lawrence family when it's clear that their issue, as described here, is on political grounds and no other ground?
No, I still can't see the connection, I'm afraid.
Maybe we'll look at some more reports and I can come back to that issue. But in the meantime, the phrase political grounds is what is meant by confrontation on political grounds?
I think it confirms what we've already seen, that the Lawrence family, want to, they're in pursuit of justice for their son, and we can see that they find any confrontation, unhelpful.
So can I be clear? The grieving family of a murdered son is regarded as confronting the Metropolitan Police Service politically because they have criticised the quality of the murder investigation and alleged that it was tainted with racism.
Forgive me. There's a lot there. It makes sense to me, but I can't quite see what the question is for me.
The question for you, this is a report made by an undercover police officer under your management,
yes,
on your watch. Your unit is filing a report which describes that quest for justice as a political confrontation of the MPS, doesn't it?
I'm sorry, I'm struggling with this.
It's revelatory, isn't it, of attitudes within the SDS towards the Lawrence family. They are seen as politically confronting the MPS because they have had the temerity to challenge the quality of the murder investigation and allege that it was tainted with racism.
I can't see any, conflict here. That it's, their campaigning is legitimate, and they don't want confrontational with the police, and other than on political grounds, well, that's just part of their campaign, isn't it, for goodness sake? They're campaigning legitimately, politically. They want justice for their son. There's the inquiry taking place.
They are damaging the reputation of the Metropolitan Police Service, and you want to keep tabs of them because they are doing so.
No, I'm sorry. That was not the case. I'm sorry.
Can we take that down now, please? And can we have MPS 301181? This is the 16th of July 1998, another of HN81's reports, this time entitled The Movement for Justice. The report starts: there appears to be divisions within the Lawrence family as to how to progress the campaign. Neville Lawrence maintains a tight control and is of the view that nothing should be done to antagonise the authorities prior to the inquiry publishing its findings. As Part 1 is due to end and Part 2 will not start until September, this approach appears to be too cautious for members of the support groups, SMG and NMP, let alone the fringe elements such as MFJ. So despite the title being MFJ, the report immediately opens with the stance of the Lawrence family and Dr. Lawrence in particular, doesn't it?
Yes.
If we go to the penultimate paragraph on the first page, see more on the differences of opinion within the campaign. Your officer is reporting on the machinations of the wider Stephen Lawrence campaign, isn't he?
Yes, from his target group's perspective, yeah.
And if we look at the last paragraph, more of the same, but with a particular emphasis on Dr. Lawrence.
Yes.
If we go to page 2, paragraph 1, I'll give you a moment, but the question is going to be, we see that MFJ is going to press ahead with demonstrations, come what may.
Yes, thank you.
And from a public order perspective, the second paragraph, the only reference to a specific demonstration is one which is assessed as likely to be peaceful.
Yes.
If we could have MPS 12001212, please. This is a report of the 23rd of July 1998, entitled Stephen Lawrence Campaign. If we look at the first paragraph, just to orientate you as to what this was about.
Yes, thank you.
So this is a meeting of the campaign, but the Lawrences are not present. Could we go to page 3, paragraph 1, please? Give you a moment to read it, but the question is, this is further evidence, isn't it, that the Lawrences are entirely independent and don't want to have anything to do with groups like MFJ?
Yes, correct.
Paragraph 2, please, particularly the second half of it.
Yes, thank you.
So part of that paragraph includes reporting about the state of the Lawrences' marriage, doesn't it? Suresh went on to explain that Doreen and Neville have in reality separated, that they only continue together as a front for the campaign.
Yes.
Highly personal data about the state of their marriage.
Yes.
So any proper policing purpose for reporting that?
No, I think that today it's easy to see that that should have been edited out. But at the time, both the field officer and the reporting officer included it just on the basis, I think, that as we've seen, these reports, they weren't, well, they did include these aspects of personal behaviour. it's easy to see now that this shouldn't have happened, but it did on a regular basis.
Because that paragraph goes on then to record the specific positions of each of Doreen and Neville Lawrence about how best to further their justice campaign, doesn't it?
Yes.
In circumstances where the Metropolitan Police already knew that the hallmark of their campaign was dignified, legitimate campaigning.
Yes.
Is the reason for this material staying in the report not because of some failure to recognise it was inappropriate, but because the MPS was actively interested in the position of the Lawrences and their ability to pursue their political campaign, as it was perceived, against the Metropolitan Police Service.
I think I can be sure that that wasn't the case. For us on the SDS, no, I can be sure.
It's highly relevant to the potency of their campaign for justice that there are tensions in the marriage, isn't it?
I don't believe that was a consideration for us.
Can we have page 3, paragraph 3, please? I think the same page, just paragraph 3, please. And then the reporting descends into detail as to who the Lawrences are said to have wanted and not wanted at a social event on that Friday. Whether or not it is accurate, would you agree that reporting on who the bereaved family of a murdered son wanted or did not want at a social event is a very long way from any legitimate policing purpose?
Well, yes, I'd have to accept that today, but, once again, at the time, it was understood to be acceptable reporting.
So would that be a convenient moment?
Certainly. We'll break for a quarter of an hour.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lambert, we're moving now to the meeting which occurred, we understand, in your back garden between Detective Inspector Walton, HN 81, and yourself on the 14th of August 1998. If we could have up 728625, please. Page 12, please. This is tab B249, sir. This is your note of the 18th of August about that meeting on the 14th of August. If we could look first of all at the first three paragraphs, your account of that meeting.
Yes, thank you.
Then could we look at the top of the next page, please?
Yes, thank you.
And then if we can look at the plaudits at the end, written in manuscript by HN 58.
Yes.
We'll go back to the detail in a moment, and we'll need this document again, but if we take it down for the moment. Some preliminary questions. How did this meeting come about?
At the request of senior special branch management.
Who?
I can't remember who. I know that I was asked to set up the meeting.
When you say senior managers, do you mean managers outside the SDS?
Yes.
At what level?
I can't recall.
And in what terms were you asked to set up this meeting?
To set up a meeting with the three of us as it took place. That I had no impetus. I had no personal impetus. Professional. I did not set this meeting up. I was asked to set it up, and I did with, at the request of and with support of my managers.
Why were you to have this meeting? What was the purpose as communicated to you?
That it could be, or I think it was intended to be useful for Richard Walton.
Did HN 58 know that this meeting was going to take place?
HN 81?
HN 58.
Oh, 58.
Your DCI.
Well, I'm sure he would have been. Yes, must have been.
Absolutely sure?
unless he was on holiday or some such, I don't know.
And did Superintendent Black know?
I'm sure that he did.
Sure that he did.
All right, no, I can't. Okay, I can't today say that. I'm sorry.
That is your chain of command, isn't it?
I don't recall precisely.
Mr. Walton's written evidence to this inquiry, he has a recollection of meeting you by a lift in central office and you proposing the meeting. Did that happen?
I don't recall that happening. I'm sure I would have met him to discuss it. And wherever I did meet him or speak to him, it was at the request of my senior management, and it flowed from there.
Can you recall now how you got in touch with, or which way round it was? Did you get in touch with Walton, or did he get in touch with you?
I don't recall.
Was there a preliminary meeting before the meeting in your garden?
I can't recall.
Did you have any prior knowledge of Detective Inspector Walton?
Yes.
How did you know Detective Inspector Walton?
I knew him as a special branch colleague, not particularly well, but I certainly knew him.
Did you know what he was doing at the time of your meeting?
Pretty much, yes.
And what was that?
Working directly for the Commissioner.
In what capacity?
I can't remember the exact terms, but I recall that it was, in regard to preparation for, or in regard to the Commissioner's response to the inquiry.
Why did you meet in your back garden?
Well, forgive me, I should have said earlier it wasn't actually in my back garden, but that seems to have, it doesn't really matter. It was indoors.
Where was it? At your address?
At my address, but I don't recall ever going into the garden, but whatever.
Why did it take place at your home?
Yes. Why?
Yes.
Well, that would have, it couldn't take place at New Scotland Yard, which is where Richard Walton was based. It couldn't take place where I was based, and it was, not uncommon to use a home address in those circumstances.
Could we have the document back up, please? 728625. And could we have page 12, paragraph 1, please? So it records there that Detective Inspector Walton was currently working with the Stephen Lawrence Review team. How did you know that?
Well, I'm sure he would have told me.
What did he say that he was doing with that team?
I can't recall today.
It says that 81 talked about the Lawrence inquiry from an MFJ perspective Detective Inspector Walton from his. What did HN81 say about the Stephen Lawrence inquiry from the MFJ perspective?
Would have given an up-to-date intelligence picture based on his reporting, it's, you know, some of which we've just been looking at, but at this date, I can't recall precisely what the MFJ perspective would have looked like, but that would have been his input.
What did Walton say about the Stephen Lawrence inquiry?
I can't recall anything really beyond what I've written here. I mean, I perhaps should add that I think my best recollections of this meeting are almost certainly contained in the transcript to a long interview I gave around about 2014, I think IOPC. I mean, and I would have had a better recollection then, and it was a very detailed interview. Today, I'm not really able to add much above what's written here.
Why was it fascinating?
Well, I think I would have said that because, you know, two very contrasting perspectives. The sort of, you know, staff officer perspective on the one hand, and the field officer perspective, a sort of a street perspective, and then, you know, the sort of commissioner's staff officer's perspective. I mean, very, you know, interesting.
Why was it a valuable exchange of information?
Well, I think that was my understanding at the time. When the meeting concluded, I think that's what was expressed.
By whom?
Well, but by Richard Walton, myself. I mean, from the field office perspective, I can't speak directly. Was it to what?
Was it? Did Detective Inspector Walton explain why it was valuable to him?
I'm sure he did. I can't remember in what terms.
Was it valuable to the SDS in the sense that Detective Inspector Walton was able to communicate to you what was of interest to the Commissioner?
Not valuable in the same sense, I don't think.
In what sense was it valuable to the SDS?
I think it was of interest to be aware, unusual, to, you know, but just to be aware of you know, this was, I suppose, an occasion where the Commissioner is concerned about violent disorder, and it was interesting for the SDS to know that he had that interest.
The Stephen Lawrence review team are making submissions to the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, which is an inquiry about a criminal investigation into a murder and allied issues of racism as well as corruption.
Yes.
What relevance has public disorder to that?
I beg your pardon?
What relevance does public disorder have to those issues?
Well, I think I mention it in my note here, don't I?
We'll get on to the subparagraphs in a moment.
Yeah.
But prima facie, something that's valuable to a team that is talking to an inquiry, communicating with an inquiry about a murder investigation and its failings, isn't immediately connected with public disorder, is it?
No.
When you described it as fascinating and valuable, can I just be clear? Was it really fascinating and valuable, or is this an exaggeration?
I think it was, well, again, look, it's very difficult from this distance, but it might become a little bit easier for me when we go back to the serious public order concern that that's mentioned, but.
In what terms did Detective Inspector Walton describe the Stephen Lawrence inquiry as dominating the Commissioner's agenda on a daily basis?
I can't recall the terms, no.
Could we have paragraph 2, please? The first sentence there, Richard Walton thanked Windmill Tilter for his invaluable reporting on the subject in recent months.
Yes.
It appears implicit from that sentence that Detective Inspector Walton had the benefit of HN81's reporting on the subject of the Stephen Lawrence inquiry in then recent months. Is that right?
Yes, and that also helps to answer the earlier question about, how and why the meeting was set up.
How had HN81's reporting been communicated to the Stephen Lawrence review team?
It could only, I don't know directly. All I know is that the SDS reporting, RN81s included, it left our office in the way that you're familiar with. It went to our...
If I can just stop you there. I'm taking it, there's no doubt that Walton had the benefit of the reporting. Can I also take it from your answer that you didn't give it to him personally?
That's correct.
An in-depth discussion enabled him to increase his understanding of the Lawrence's relationship with the various campaign groups like MFJ. This, he said, would be of great value as he continued to prepare a draft submission to the inquiry on behalf of the Commissioner. An in-depth discussion. How long did this meeting take?
It's difficult to say. 1 hour, 2 hours.
And when you record an in-depth discussion, is it right to say that there was deep discussion between Walton and HN 81 about the Lawrence's relationships with multiple campaigning groups? I've no reason to think that that's inaccurate. So presumably, if Walton has already seen the reporting, then they were diving deeper than the contents of the written reports into the relationship between the Lawrences and the various groups we've seen HN 81 reported on.
I don't think that RN 81 would have been able to do that. I think there was just really a focus on his perspective, which really, it's one thing receiving a sort of sanitized intelligence report, and then it's another thing to meet the officer and, I think just to get the feel of, if you like, a street perspective. That would have been greatly valued, I'm sure.
But that amounts to going into more detail than the written report, doesn't it?
It does, I think, yes.
Great value as he continued to prepare a draft submission to the inquiry. Are you confident that that is factually correct?
I've no reason to doubt it.
Because there seem to be two possibilities in broad terms. Either Detective Inspector Walton did say to you it would be of great value to him as he continued to prepare a draft submission, or you have made it up to make the SDS sound good. Which is it?
The former.
Mr. Walton's evidence to the inquiry, we understand in its written form, is to the effect that he had effectively completed drafting by the time he met you and HN 81, and he says he made no further alterations to the draft. Would it be right to understand that that's completely contrary to the impression he gave you at the time?
Yes, that would be, wouldn't it?
MFJ's future plans were also discussed at some length. Why was Walton interested in MFJ's future plans?
Because of the public order interest, which he knew that he was meeting an undercover operative who could help him in his work understand the way that groups such as the MFJ might seek to capitalise on community tension, volatile situations in the way that we've seen. And to hear about it from that perspective would, I think, he found it helpful. I mean, there's, I know we're going to come on to it, but there would have been a...
If we're going to come on to it, we will. Shall we deal with that in due course? Before we do that and move on from this paragraph, a couple more questions. The first is, if Walton has had the benefit of 81's reporting, are you able to help us with whether he'd had the benefit of other relevant SDS reporting? And you will recall that we went through some of Detective Constable Jenner's reporting on the subject. Do you know if that reached him?
I don't recall, no.
Did Walton say anything about the Racial and Violent Crime Task Force?
I can't recall now. I think I may have made some reference to it in this note.
Did he say anything to the effect of that was going to be his next job?
Oh, I see. Again, I can't recall.
Was Movement for Justice regarded as perpetrating racial crime?
In what sort of context?
Well, I'm asking you.
Yeah,
would what you believed MFJ was doing fall within the definition of racial crime?
I don't think so at that time.
If we go to the third paragraph, please. Detective Inspector Walton explained a lot of the behind-the-scenes politics involving the Home Office. It emerged that there is a great sensitivity around the Lawrence issue, with both the Home Secretary and the Prime Minister extremely concerned that the Metropolitan Police could end up with its credibility in the eyes of London's black community completely undermined. Walton explained the three main areas that his team is addressing. Now, before we go to those areas, was any of this news to you?
News, certainly it was, it was sort of well above my job description. It was a different, very different perspective for me, and so it was, it was interesting to hear about this, level of concern.
Did Detective Inspector Walton give you to understand what level of access he had to base his assertions upon?
No, I don't recall that he did. I just took it, I understood his role as being like a staff officer working closely with the Commissioner.
In what terms did he describe the Home Office's sensitivities?
I can't recall today.
In what terms did he describe the Prime Minister's concerns?
Well, above just as reported. Anything beyond that I can't add.
If we could zoom out and look at the sub-paragraphs now, please. There are three of them. If we have all three blown up. We'll have them all blown up so you can see them all, but I'm interested in the middle one. It says in the middle one that the question of the Commissioner's resignation and that of his assistant Ian Johnson is regularly addressed.
Haven't quite picked that up.
I'll give you.
Oh, got it now. Yeah.
I'll give you a moment. Did you regard what you were doing in arranging this meeting and facilitating the exchange of information as helping to save the Commissioner?
I honestly did not have that thought in my head at all.
And you're portraying the meeting as being of great value in circumstances where the Commissioner's job is on the line, aren't you?
Well, yes, that's part of it, yeah.
How important did you think this meeting was?
I didn't think it was I don't think it was more than what I've sought to describe at the time. A focus, you know, Richard Walton's got a remit and he's come out to meet a field officer who can help him with what is probably a small part of his remit. I don't think he was sharing these pieces of information about his job. I don't think he was sharing that for any to have any impact on our job.
In terms of the utility of this meeting, we can see these three topics set out and we can all read what they say. Is there anything that you wish to add, having been present, as to how this meeting assisted, first of all, Detective Inspector Walton?
Not that I can call to mind, no.
And the SDS?
No.
Could we go over the page to the top of page 13, please? The last sentence there, allied to this was a concern about the damaging effects of sustained political pressure from hard left and anti-police elements. That would include groups such as MFJ, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Would sustained political pressure from anti-police elements also include the Lawrence family?
Not the family.
Well, we've seen the report describing them as wanting to pursue a political campaign against the Metropolitan Police Service. Are you sure that isn't what was meant?
I can be reasonably sure.
Reasonably sure? Why the qualification?
Only because of the distance between then and now. I would have been clearer.
Isn't the reality that at this time the atmosphere was febrile?
Yes.
And it was febrile because the Metropolitan Police Service had been accused of institutional racism.
Yes.
And as you found out at this meeting, it seemed very likely that that criticism was going to be made out. You're nodding for the transcript.
Sorry, yes, I should ask, could you just repeat the last? Sorry.
Yeah, from the document we've just seen, the first paragraph of those 3 subparagraphs, you'd just been told that it was very likely that that criticism was going to be made out.
Yes, yes.
I'll put another way, Sir William Macpherson was going to find the Met institutionally racist. There was a concern that there might be rioting and disorder
Yes,
by black people.
yes,
And that was the reason why Metropolitan Police was so interested in the Lawrence campaign.
I can't talk to that. I can explain why Richard Walton came to speak to RN 81. And it was a small but hopefully helpful part of what he was interested in.
And so interested in the Lawrence family's interactions with left-wing groups.
Well, even obviously at this meeting, he would have come, if nothing else, he would have come to understand that groups like MFJ were outside of and had no direct influence.
Not really answering my question. It's why the police were so interested in the Lawrence family and their dealings with left-wing groups, isn't it?
That was I couldn't speak to that then. I all of this whole meeting, I could only contribute or even just facilitate the perspective from RN 81. And I listened to everything here that I've mentioned. I'm sure there was a lot more, and I was aware of the, some of the concern, but I can't go beyond that.
At the time, did you consider the Metropolitan Police Service to be institutionally racist?
I can't really honestly recall whether I put my mind to that question at the time of this meeting.
What was your reaction to learning that the likely outcome of the Stephen Lawrence inquiry was going to be a finding of institutional racism against the Metropolitan Police Service?
I can't recall today, honestly.
It's quite a significant thing, isn't it?
Well, of course, and I would have had a view, but it's difficult for me to say now.
Did you speak to HN 58 after the meeting?
I've no real recollection. I don't. I think obviously I would have done, but I can't call it to mind.
Can you recall, if not precisely, then in broad terms, a gist of what you would have communicated to him?
After the meeting?
Yes.
Not really, no.
Would you have communicated to HN 58 just how important events were to the Home Secretary and the Prime Minister?
Well, he was present at this meeting.
HN 58?
Oh, I beg your pardon. Well, yeah, HN 58. Well, he's
Your DCI at the time.
Well, he gets my
He gets a note.
note.
And what I'm asking is, did you speak to him about it as well?
Oh my God. I'm sure I would have done, but
And can you recall what the discussion amounted to?
I can't, no.
Can we take that down now? And can we go to 720946, tab B241, sir? Over to the next page. This is a minute sheet showing HN58 sending a briefing note which you are said to have prepared about extreme left-wing involvement in the Stephen Lawrence campaign, and it's going to Superintendent Black through the Superintendent of S Squad. Can we go to page 8, please? This is the briefing note in question. SDS Intelligence Update, September 1998, extremist involvement in the Stephen Lawrence campaign. Could we have the first paragraph expanded, please? Do you recall producing this briefing note?
I don't recall it, but I can see it's clearly my briefing note.
I'll give you a moment to read that first paragraph.
Yes, thank you.
Talks about the largely successful attempts by MFJ to gain influence within the Stephen Lawrence campaign. But we've seen from the reporting that we've been through that they don't appear to have had influence at all with the inner circle, the Stephen Lawrence family campaign,
Yes,
did they?
yes. No.
We've seen that they were involved with a Lawrence family support group, but rejected by the Lawrences.
That's correct.
This report exaggerates the success of MFJ, doesn't it?
I think it. I'm referring to the Stephen Lawrence campaign in general terms. It obviously would have been better to have explained that they did not have influence within the actual family inner circle.
But that wouldn't have looked quite so good for the SDS, would it? That wouldn't have looked quite so good for the SDS.
Well, okay, I can't say now more than I have.
Can we go to the second paragraph? While the Lawrence family have sought to prevent extremist activists from taking over the campaign, they hadn't just sought to prevent, had they? They had prevented.
Yes.
So again, this rather understates the reality, doesn't it?
Yes, it may be the case, but at least it does clarify what I said in the first paragraph.
In your favour on the question of granular detail is what follows, is that you actually attach two reports to this briefing note, don't you, as we see? Two recent reports are attached both to give a flavour of his ongoing in-depth commentary and to indicate the potential for further extremist activity in relation to the second stage.
Yes.
Amongst those two, one of those two reports is the one we looked at earlier, which includes the report of the separation of the Lawrences.
Right.
Did you choose that because it included such detailed information about the Lawrence family campaign.
I'm sure that I wouldn't have selected it for that reason.
Could we look at subparagraph, the next paragraph, paragraph 3? And here you are broadcasting, for those this is going to be disseminated to, the fact of the meeting with, does that stand for Acting Detective Inspector Walton?
Forgive me, I'm just... I'm just focusing on the Commissioner would be ill-advised to attend a public forum.
Yes, we saw a reference to that in the meeting note.
Yeah.
But I'm asking a very pedantic question. Does the ADI stand for Acting Detective Inspector Walton?
Yes, I can see that. I can't recall now, but that was obviously my understanding at the time.
And we see essentially you are trumpeting two features of SDS intelligence, one public order and the other, quite separately, the unique insight into the behind-the-scenes machinations of the Lawrence campaign.
Yes.
So can I take it from that you were regarding what the SDS was doing as pursuing two distinct strands?
I'm expressing it as two distinct strands. Obviously, at the time, it was simply the officer, undercover officer, being able to cover the machinations that we see reported, but from his group's perspective.
Can we go to page 9, paragraph 2, please?
Yes, thank you.
So here we're moving on to the campaigning that was being done by Sukhdev Reel, Ricky Reel's mother, to try and establish what happened to her son, who was found dead in the River Thames.
Yes.
And it's being described as planning, that the MFJ were planning to assist her in mounting a large-scale campaign against the police. So can I take it that the police perspective on what Sukhdev Reel was doing by wanting to know whether the police had behaved competently in response to her son's disappearance and whether it had been influenced by racism, was regarded as a campaign against the police?
I can only see it from our perspective. Movement for Justice were seeking to get involved in campaigns that were, legitimately justice campaigns, as we looked at yesterday in other parts of London. it's exactly the same here.
And it's perceived as anti-police, isn't it?
I think it's a lazy term, but it was often that was at the time that would have been said.
And what you want to emphasise, it goes on, is the extent to which the case has the potential to cause police embarrassment on the same scale as the Lawrence case.
Yes, that's...
So from your point of view, it's here we go again.
Well, it's worth pointing out, isn't it?
More damage to the police's reputation.
Yes.
On an issue of racism within the police.
Yes, but I don't think there's any sort of impact on the SDS's, neutrality on this. We're just, as always, reporting what we find in our target groups.
Well, you say neutrality, but you had used the intelligence gained about the Stephen Lawrence campaign, including that about the groups surrounding the Lawrences, to brief a man who was drafting the submissions to defend the Commissioner in the Stephen Lawrence inquiry. That's not neutral, is it?
That's how I understood it at the time.
That's using the intelligence to defend the police, isn't it?
Well, I think it was enabling the police to understand the situation on the ground. The Richard Walton's got a job to do. We have helped him, perhaps, hopefully, in a particular area to understand his brief. We haven't done anything to change the situation that the Commissioner's facing.
Another anti-police campaign, and you conclude that HN81 will be ideally positioned to monitor important developments in the months ahead. Can I take it from that you anticipated HN81 doing exactly the same as he had in relation to the Lawrence campaign, with the campaign being run by Mrs. Reel?
Yes, yes, in a word, yeah.
And he was ideally positioned, wasn't he?
He was. Did you say?
Yes.
Yes.
He'd driven Mrs. Reel home from a meeting with MFJ, hadn't he?
Well, I don't recall that.
Are you able to say whether he did or he didn't tell you that he'd done that?
I'm sorry, I don't recall that.
And what we're talking about is spying directly on relations between a grieving family, critical of the police, and a small group of political activists, aren't we?
Indeed, yes.
And you felt that was excellent work.
What are you basing that on? Anything? I've no recollection of it.
Well, the way you're writing this up and the fact you're doing it.
I think there's a huge distance between what I'm saying here and what the undercover officer did subsequent to this report. I've no recollection of him telling me that he'd driven
I was
mother.
pitching my question more widely. You thought HN81's work in relation to Stephen Lawrence campaign and in relation to the Ricky Reel campaign was excellent work.
Yes.
Can we have the third paragraph on this page, please? A new SDS source, Apple source, that's HN60, is now well placed to report additionally on the involvement of the SWP A&L in the second phase of the Lawrence inquiry and the Civil Rights March in October. Lacking the key personal contacts enjoyed by MFJ, the SWP can nonetheless be relied upon to add its strident voice to the corrupt racist police bandwagon and significant numbers to related demonstrations. So essentially you're trumpeting here that the SDS has got another source who's covering the SWP and A&L in relation to the Lawrence-related matters.
Yes.
You describe them as lacking the key personal contacts enjoyed by the MFJ. But since we know that MFJ had not been able to get into the inner circle, that's something of an exaggeration, isn't it?
Well, I'm not saying contacts with the family. I'm sure. So the lacking the key personal contacts enjoyed by MFJ, yeah, I can't recall today what they precisely were, but I think it must be clear from what we've seen that the MFJ did not enjoy any close personal contacts with the family and the inner circle. To the contrary.
What did you mean by corrupt racist police bandwagon?
Probably seeking to describe groups like MFJ, SWP, A&L, who were perhaps not primarily, if at all, concerned with justice, but concerned to be involved in protest.
You're saying you cynically thought they didn't believe in the causes they were supporting?
Not in the same way that the actual family campaigns were.
Could we have paragraph 4, please? You're explaining the need to protect your sources, but then you go on to say that regular reporting to C-Squad and additional discreet briefings to acting Detective Inspector Walton when necessary. Can you help us with whether there were further discreet briefings to Walton?
Well, not by me, that's for sure.
You were just about to leave the SDS at this stage, weren't you?
Yes, but yeah.
Did anyone ever tell you whether there'd been any more?
No.
Were you aware that it was Detective Chief Superintendent Black who had asked for this briefing?
Was I aware that
it was DCS Black who'd asked for this briefing?
I'm not sure. I mean, I've never been able to recall precisely where the request came from.
Can we have a look at 720946, please? It's tab B241. Seven two zero 946.
That's what we're looking at the moment.
Page 3, please. That's right. It's a minute sheet. It's a minute sheet to this briefing note. Page 3 is a minute from Detective Chief Superintendent Black to Detective Superintendent S. So I fully appreciate this this exchange directly doesn't involve you, but I would like you to read it, please.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
So you can see that DCS Black's reaction to your paper was very favourable,
Yes.
describing the SDS as well positioned at the focal crisis points of policing in London. Was that positive feedback relayed to you?
I'm sure, yes, I'm sure it would have been. I can't recall.
Can you recall any positive feedback from anyone else in the chain of command?
No.
Can we take that down now and go to 728620? This is tab B175, sir. This is the SDS. It's a draft, a partial draft of the annual report for 1997-1998. Are you able to assist us with whether you played any part in drafting this?
What this morning, I think we talked about the dates the reports were likely to have been published. Is it? Can you recall?
Is
there a date on this report when it's being
on this draft?
Yes.
It's an annual report. It's draft. It's seriously incomplete.
Right.
For the year 1997-1998. So that will be the year ending in.
I'm just wondering.
Early April 98.
In which part? I've forgotten quite. How much of each year is in it?
It's a financial year. So
a financial year.
It
so
would have ended
up to about
March, April.
And